What's up, everybody? It's Alex Quantz here at the Prelude Songwriters Club. I want to give you guys some quick tips about pedal order, signal flow, that kind of thing. When you got a lot of pedals on the floor, it gets a little more complicated. Also going to do a quick review of this Henretta Engineering Moody Blue Reverb, which is pretty cool. So what I've got set up here is kind of like a typical small pedal board. I've got my tuner in the front, my drive pedal or distortion, modulation, and then like my space effect, which in that case is the Moody Blue Reverb. So this is a pretty typical signal chain order. You usually want to have your tuner in the front to get the cleanest tone out of your guitar, get you the truest like tuning that you can possibly get, so it'll pick up the pitch correctly. Then next you usually want to have your drive pedal, and then you want to move on to your modulation, just like I've got here. It could be like a tremolo, could be, this one's a chorus and a flanger, could be phasing, anything that is in that sort of ballpark. And then you want to hit your like space effects, your reverb, your delays, all that sort of good stuff. And this is just kind of like a typical order. It's not like set in stone, so feel free to break these rules. If it sounds good, that's the like main thing, is that it sounds good, right? Basically, you do it this way so you're not distorting like unnecessarily your modulation and reverb effects. So if I ran my modulation and my reverb into the front of this drive pedal, it would all be distorted. And I do it this way so that I'm distorting my clean signal here and then running in and modulating and reverbing, this sort of stuff. So I'm not getting like crazy distorted like reverb tails and like some crazy out of this planet like modulated fuzziness going on. So I'm keeping basically the cleanest signal path throughout this chain. All right, so I'm gonna play everything just in the order that I had it here, just so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, so basically what I did, everything's in the same order, except I swapped these to be in front of the Heisenberg drive. So let's just take a listen and see what that sounds like. Alright, so like what we could hear in the second clip was, you could definitely hear there was a lot more noise in the signal path, had this modulation and reverb going into the distortion. So you just had this like really big effect, and then you were distorting it all, so there was all this extra noise. You could definitely hear it distorting the tails of your reverb also, which can be super cool if that's a sound you want to go for. You're into this crazy noise, but usually not the desired effect. Okay, as you'll notice, this amp has an effects loop on it, and all that is for basically is so you can get the truest sound out of your modulation and like space pedals, reverb, delay. And all that does is bypass like the gain and the EQ section of your amp. So if you want it super, super clean, super true to the sound of the pedal, you can always run through the back the effects loop. Alright, so basically I'm going to compare this Moody Blue Reverb by Henretta to like the reverb that's on this amp already, the Ampeg GVT15-112. That's a mouthful right there. So let's dive in and see what happens. And here's the Moody Blue. Okay, so very cool little pedal, the Moody Blue Reverb. One thing you're definitely probably noticing is that there's no knobs. It's just some cool little text right there. You do have a couple of like trim pots on the inside of this thing to dial in the tone that you want to keep using. And that's the way they kind of set this pedal up, as like you open it up and, you know, turn the little like dip switches, your little knobs in there until you find your perfect setting, and then you close it back up and it's just your Goldilocks reverb pedal. It's always in that perfect spot for you, perfectly set up. And you could probably tell compared to the spring reverb that's in the amp, it wasn't quite as like splashy. There's not a ton of like ambience on tap there. It's more of like a subtle effect, but I think it's pretty reactive to your playing. I kind of feel like there's a little bit of modulation going on. It's kind of like plate-like in that sort of aspect. So very cool pedal, and it takes up like a tiny bit of space, which is awesome. Awesome for like a mini pedal board or like the acoustic artist who, you know, I just want a little bit of extra something for this one section of the song or something, and I don't want this giant complicated reverb pedal. I just want it my perfect Goldilocks setting, and then I'm ready to go.